Salemakers la mette in mezzo, bella tiro, gol! Luka Modric ha segnato Luka, ecco il gol del maestro.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony, the indignified Torgrud.
Yeah, this is going to be the worst episode of all time.
Yeah, Bdair's here too.
Yeah. Sorry if my light is flashing. I'm hoping it goes away soon because one of these light bulbs is messed up. I should have fixed it before, but if somebody has epilepsy,
it'll flicker out like our Scudetto pursuit, mate. I wouldn't worry about it. Actually, you should probably apologise for being the bad luck charm of the podcast because ever since you joined as a regular member, it's all gone to shit. So thanks for that. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about in this episode. It's going to be a 3-game episode. We've got 2 recaps, Como at home and Parma at home, aka the week the dream died. And then we've got a preview of the Cremonese game, and it just feels like a bit of a procession from now until the end of the season. But still, we've got plenty of meat on the bones to go at here. Before we dive into the episode in full, I'll do the Substack plug. We've gone live on the website with the ad-free version now, so go and check that out if you like an ad-free experience. You'll see it just below the top menu bar. You can go in, you can try 7 days for free of that just to see the site, of course, without the adverts that we are forced to use in order to monetize. I'm sure people understand how that works by now. But you can carry on using that for just £1 a month if you like it. So go and check that out. And over on the Substack, you can find bonus content such as the most recent pub chat that Stefano and Lorenzo put out yesterday. It was about our home form. Of course, we're going to do a bit on that too, but they went into why we're struggling so much. We have the 6th best home form in the league. We've only scored 18 goals in 13 home games. There's various other stats that suggest that rather than San Siro being a fortress, it's actually been somewhere that, once again, we look kind of scared to play at. So yeah, they dived into that. Lorenzo was the one doing the instant reaction after the defeat against Parma on Sunday. Of course, given the controversial nature of some of the stuff that happened in the game, as well as another subpar performance, he was pretty fired up and then also pretty subdued. And his face in the thumbnail kind of shows it. The most recent one
of frustrated Lorenzo there.
Yeah, it's actually, yeah. Look, you see him across the columns, kind of. Yeah, it's perfect actually. Isaac's
the
done good
stages
for catching
of deterioration.
Yeah.
Stages of grief, I think. The most recent bonus podcast me and you did, AJ, back end of last week was about the midfield jigsaw moving forward. We went through each of the 6 current options for the 3 central midfield positions, who should stay, who should go, and who could arrive in the summer in order to kind of complete the puzzle, as it were. As it did a newsletter, a slide tackle, in that you get a bulletin with a breakdown of the results from all different levels of the teams and the most recent topical issues. So yeah, go check that out. You can also try 7 days for free on the Substack website, and then from there on it's £5 a month or $50 for the year, and you get the ad-free bundled in with that. So go check that out and support what we do. Really appreciate it. And yeah, let's go for it. Okay, let's start with the recap of Como. Yeah, last midweek. Well, it always is. You know, it's nearly a week ago now that we played them. I had actually forgotten about how this game went. I'd forgotten about the drama that there was in this one and why I felt so fired up after the full-time whistle. But, of course, we can now begin to unpick things a little bit. I want to start with the starting lineup, which is here. Tomori Divinta Pavlovic is the 3-man defence. Atakame, Bartazagi is the wing-backs. Jashari, Modric, Ricci as the midfield 3. Nkunku, Leao up front. Of course, Rabiot was suspended for this one. Gabbia wasn't risked or rather, I guess he was rotated out and then he ended up picking up an actual muscle injury in the warm-ups for the Parma game that we're going to come on to. My mind's a mess at this point, as you can probably already tell. But anyway, that was the team. Any complaints? The main thing was the midfield 3, right? Jashari, Modric, Ricci. We wanted to see how it looked in the middle.
Yeah, I'm the asshole who said I really like this lineup. I didn't during the game, but I sure liked it before. I thought it was a cool idea. Yeah. Ricci, man, he's seen better games, better days. He was definitely the weak link. He didn't fit in the midfield. Jashari is fantastic. Really like him. Unfortunately, every time Como had a counter, it was because someone tried to play an impossible pass to him. So it looked like he was giving away the ball a lot, but it was just he couldn't get to these passes. I mean, we'll come on to the goal, but that also was something. Huh?
Yeah, I actually liked the lineup, like AJ said, and I wasn't that I didn't have a problem with it that much in this game. This game in general, I know now we know what happened, so it all sucks. But like, I thought I was kind of positive coming out of this game, and then everything crashed from there.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have many like massive complaints about the lineup. I was intrigued as well to see how that midfield three looked. I thought that was, with Rabiot absent, you're sort of looking at that three being, in theory, on paper, the best three to keep possession and try and control the tempo against a Como side that, like to press high, like to play on the front foot and play quickly. So would they flounder? Would they flourish? We kind of saw a couple of the guys do well, and as I just said, Richie, yeah, not so well. Deventer going into the middle of the three-man defence, I thought was interesting too. There was some doubts about how Como were going to line up, and in the end, Fabregas, rather than doubling down on the 4-2-3-1 that we've seen pretty much all season, he chose to switch to a 3-5-2, and he dropped the striker Duvikas, who is the joint top scorer, decided to go with the front two of Baturina and Nico Paz, which I thought was actually probably more noteworthy than the lineup that we put out. Then it was like, what's he going to do with it? It's all right playing effectively with two attacking midfielders / wingers up front, but, how is it going to look? And I don't know if he'll repeat that experiment. But, yeah, we go behind relatively early on. Mike Maignan giveth, Mike Maignan taketh away. He was the man of the match. I won't say undisputed because, obviously, Rabiot won a penalty, scored twice, but he was the man of the match candidate in the reverse fixture against Como when we won 3-1, and in this one he kind of gifts them the lead. It's one of those, it's awful to watch because it looks so brain dead and it's so egregious and it's all on one player, and he's had such a good season, obviously signs the renewal, all the vibes around Mike are good, and then he just gifts a goal, and it was a pretty naive pass out from the back, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he had three players, one on either side of him, and Jashari down the middle. Jashari was the only player that had a man marking him. And that's the pass he made, and it went straight to the, I guess it was the striker.
Pass.
Yeah. Oh, it was Nico Paz. Okay. Yeah, which, I mean, look, never pass a grounded ball that close to your goal anywhere near Nico Paz, because that guy's a phenom. But, yeah, it went straight to him, and he put it away. Mike went straight. It didn't even look like Mike tried to save it. Obviously, he did. But it looked more like he just was falling to the ground with his head in his hands. Like, he knew immediately, oh, fuck, I ruined it. And, he has saved us in so many games this season that it's like, you don't want to pile on and say, like, this is all your fault. But it was. Because we did score through some Jashari Leao wonder goal. We'll get to that later. But outside of a couple other shots that were really straight at Maignan, there was only one that I felt like he actually needed to go out of his way to save. Como didn't do anything. The 3-5-2 didn't play into their strengths. Like they effectively neutralized themselves, and we gave them a point because of a goalkeeping error. They were not in this game at any moment. Like I thought, compared to the last game where we were under constant fire, and then Mike made big save after big save, and then we countered and had a couple goals. This one was the reason we didn't have a couple goals is because they weren't pushing. They weren't doing anything to us. And so we struggled to get that breakaway, which unfortunately seems to be the only way we can score now because it isn't coming from a corner. It isn't coming from a cross. That seems to be the only way we want to try to score is go out wide. And if you don't get it, pass back to Modric and switch to the other side. And then we'll wait for the cross there. And if it doesn't work, pass back to Modric, switch to the other side. And we don't have anyone that had the ball. Obviously, we got Fulkrug, but he's kind of proven to not be that great so far. So, which is another thing that everyone kind of anticipated when we signed him. But, now I'm going on a tangent. It's just, it's like everything is not going our way. And unfortunately, this was the game in hand. This was the game to cut the deficit with Inter to 5 points. And here we are 6 days later with a 10-point deficit.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna try to analyze this game specifically outside the context of the Parma game that comes after, it's exactly what you said. They literally created nothing, and like from a game plan perspective on that end of the field, it worked perfectly. We took one of the highest powered attacks in the entire league, and we basically gave them nothing until we gave them a goal, right? The game plan worked perfectly. Fabregas's gamble was an awful one of changing the formation. That was, I mean, the entire game played out like he was basically like, "Oh, you guys want to see what our resultista looks like? Let's do it." Right?
Yeah,
That's basically
agreed.
what he played out. He changed the formation, accommodate ours, and it failed. He sat back, and still they conceded the goal in a moment where the high line was very high, and they just gave away, they conceded a lot of space to the best runner we have. Every Fabregas experiment failed miserably. And if it wasn't for Mike giving them that goal, I actually think we would have won this game, and we would have all felt great, and we would have said, like, wow, we shut down this team and we got out 3 points, and it would have been amazing. And I feel like the season would be completely different. But obviously that's not how it happened, and Mike gives them the goal. And it's just like, I actually thought, coming out of this game, the things that Jashari and Modric did, like that was one of the first games where I felt like, damn, we actually have control. Here's a good team, right? And we dictated the proceedings of the game for the most part, which we just have not been able to do against any of the good teams. And we've had good results against the good teams, but it was always like they're coming at us and we're going to counter and we're going to try to hold and withstand pressure and all that. This one, we actually kept possession. And I was really encouraged by that. And I do think that Jashari and Modric is the way forward. Not that it matters now, but like it really is the way forward. And I think he showed Jashari over anybody else. He gave me the feeling that for the first time, he played so brilliantly. I was like, this is the first time we've signed a player since Pulisic, who I feel like, okay, now this is another core piece of the team. Right, like when we signed Leao and Teo and Tonali and all these guys back in the day, when they started, I was like, okay, this is a core piece of the team. We move on with this. And when Pulisic joined, he was another one, and Reinders at one point, and now this is the next one. Like, this is the guy who, okay, I can see 5 years in the future, and hopefully, and you never know at this point, but I can see, like, okay, he's in the base of the midfield for a long time going forward.
Yeah, I saw reports this morning or last night of Modric basically telling Allegri that he's going to retire after the World Cup, which to me says, look, if the season's over in terms of we're not winning the Scudetto at this point, and it's probably the case, there's still a chance, but pretty slim. Start focusing on Jashari. If Modric is already saying I'm hanging it up in a couple months, then get Jashari in the lineup more. Obviously, with Ruben's injury, which we'll talk about later, there's a lot more room for him to be playing, but I still see him going, Fofana Rabiot. So I would give Jashari more minutes, make sure he plays every single game just so he could get in there. And honestly, maybe take off Modric for Jashari because that's the role he's going to be playing, right? Like, don't get him used to playing alongside this guy who's going to be gone in 3 months. So I think we need to absolutely be getting Jashari in there because you're right. He can be the long-term solution, I want to say, to our midfield. Which realistically, as you said, 2.5, 3 seasons with the ownership, but hopefully it's longer. Hopefully he finishes his contract and maybe even renews one. That'd be cool.
He's going to look so good in a Bournemouth shirt. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, man, listen, as we found out, renewing your contract doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
You can renew your contract 6 months later. Bam, you just gone like it's a release clause.
Yeah. True. We should. I'll tie up on the Jashari thing. He was absolutely magnificent. The stats say it. He completed 97% of his passes. I think it was 58 out of 60. created 3 chances, 10 out of 10 on passes into the final third, 6 out of 6 on long balls, 4 recoveries, 2 tackles, and of course that gorgeous assist, which we'll come on to in a sec. But that's like a complete midfielder's performance. And that's almost the kind of stat line you expect from Modric. Now, not saying Modric was bad in comparison, but dare I say he was outshone by someone who is, like 17 years his junior and is actually hoping to inherit the role rather than take it now. But, he simply has to start games more regularly. And I think, Bdair, you mentioned it on a recent episode about how Jashari had said in the media, I can play as an 8-2. And then we saw it. We saw the configuration, and it's like a glimpse into the immediate future. You can play Modric and Jashari together now, do it. It clearly can work. And then from then on, we can see about him becoming a permanent 6 or permanent 8. But for now, just play your best midfield. Richie, not as great in comparison, but, when you've got those two that are able to kind of take the game by the scruff of the neck themselves, we definitely benefited from that because we had absolutely no control in the game at Como, whereas in this one it felt like everything was being sort of played in front of us, and we have way more of a grip on things. They take the lead. Butez made a really good save to deny Tomori. There was a really good move down the right side. Tomori 1-2 with Atakame, and the 2 was a cross to him, and Tomori with a great volley, to be fair. It was going top corner, and Butez made the save. I think we all made the comment in the chat at the time, like the duality of goalkeepers. Maignan was the hero in Como, and now it's going to be Butez this time. Butez kind of turned villain in the second half because, goodness me, I've no idea what he's thinking coming way off his line for that one. This is where Jashari gets his assist. It's actually a bit of a spell of pressure from Como, and we get the ball on the edge of our own box, and Jashari, he doesn't have that long to sort of scan the field, and within a couple of seconds, he gets the ball out of his feet and he bangs it long. And Fulkrug's actually on by this point, and you're sort of thinking, well, he'll be the focal point. He might be the furthest forward, but he's dropped shorter into Milan's half, and he's got a man with him, and that leaves Leao 1v1 against his man, basically in the entire opposition half. And Butez comes again about 25 yards off his line, and Leao just gets there first, and he sees things. And what I will say is this is a striker's finish. It's not the first time we've seen Leao lob an onrushing goalkeeper, but it is not as easy as he makes it look, to do it from that range with the bounce of the ball and everything. But it nestles into the back of the net. It's 1-1, and we're thinking, right, here we go, platform, go and win this thing.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity was there. It felt like the momentum was in our favor. Honestly, the entire game, outside of the silly Maignan goal, but the Tomori chance that you mentioned was seconds after we conceded. So it was like, okay, we made a mistake, but this team is not giving up. They're rallying behind. That they're going to make it happen again, which we had done time and time again this season, last season, to the point where I put a $25 bet on a come from behind victory. Lost that money. Really thought we were going to do it. And I mean, we had the one with Leao, and I thought, okay, that's a wonder goal. We're definitely going to push for another one. And I think we did. The problem is, and everyone always says, why can't we beat smaller teams? And I'm not saying Como's a small team in terms of, their ability right now, but they played like a small team, which I guess so do we. But we sit back and wait, and this low block, like if they're not attacking us, we can't counter. And that's the only way we seem to score goals now is a counter. So, and that's been our problem for probably a decade with every style of play that we've had, every different manager we've had. It's been the same story. But if they're not going for the win themselves, being Como, then we're not going to get the win. It was almost like they were okay with settling for a draw because it was a point off Milan. For whatever reason, that seems so important to Como. It's like Fabregas has created this strange rivalry with Allegri that didn't exist until the first leg. It was strange. You saw him lose, I think, 6-1 to Inter and saying, we'll never change our identity. This is how we play attacking football. Congrats to Inter. What a wonderful team. Something along those lines. And then, he loses 3-1 to Milan, and it's a whole different story. Milan plays this horrible game. They're awful. They just care about results, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you didn't care when you lost by twice as many goals. What's the issue now? And then, he goes on.
He said after the away game, the most recent one when we won 3-1, he said, if we replay this game 8 times out of 10, we win. And Como have now played us 4 times since they came up under Fabregas, and they've lost 3 and drawn 1. And they took the lead in all of those games. So if you can't see it out, that's not our problem, you know?
Yeah, exactly. If you win 8 times out of 10, it just so happens that all 4 games you've played have been 2 out of 10. So crazy how that works. But
if you double it, it's if you double it, it's 16 out of 20. So there's your 4, and they're now going to win the next 16 games against us, I believe, is how this works, right?
Yeah.
Math. All right. Should we get to some incidents? I don't know what else to say about this one.
Yeah, we can do. I wanted to mention, I think that the sliding doors moment for this game, because I actually wasn't that impressed with how we pushed after getting the equaliser in the final 10, 15 minutes when it was clear Como were defending that point. But there was the one moment, and that was when the cross went in from the right side from Salamakers, and Fofana heads it from a really good position. And if that goes in, I think we win 3-1 again. It's just that moment in the game where you've got to take the momentum and the initiative. And if that, as I say, I think if that's a goal, we're talking about a different outcome, and probably even a different outcome on Sunday too. Like that may be, there's a lot of them, right? Because incidents happen and things like that. When you talk about sliding doors moments in the season, that stands out to me as being like, oh shit, we're going to get another chance, and then we never really did. So, yeah, sorry, but you were going to say something.
No, I just on the goal itself, the thing I loved watching the most was if you see the angle where it's like really zoomed in on Leao, when the ball comes, it's like if he runs in exactly the way he's running, it'll hit him in the back. And he kind of just like slaloms it, like he moves to the side, and it just hits him and just comes right to his stride. And like I think that's very underappreciated. It's an unbelievable way, like the fact that he never had to take a brilliant ball from Deshadi, which makes him not have to take a touch, but also slaloming it to kind of end up with, oh shit, the goalkeeper's right in front of me, and now I just have to chip it. It was amazing.
It wasn't an easy chip either. I mean, it was deep.
No, it was very
25 yards. Yeah.
And it was I think happening so fast because like there's a center back right at his shoulder. He slaloms the ball, it drops, and as soon as he's like, you could see in the video, you could see him like looking at it down, and then now as soon as he looks, the keeper's right in front of him, right? And
is it just a reflex action then to think?
Oh,
right,
100%. He's not thinking about it at all, but he's just like, okay, done. Which is why, like, if Bdair was like 1 second ahead of runs in ahead, 1 second ahead, he clears the ball, and everybody's like, "Wow, what a brilliant play that he makes!" But it's the fact that Leao does the decision so fast that makes it was a silly decision from Bdair, but it makes it look even dumber because he ends up looking kind of like he's far away from the ball. So the goal is brilliant, and honestly, that was one of my most hyped moments of the season. I thought like. Because he had done nothing the whole game. They had done nothing the whole game, and he again looks physically incapable of getting in the game. Like no pace, no speed, no burst, nothing. And then he does that, and I'm just like, all right, like we don't have a lot. We have very very few ways of scoring, as we've discussed a lot, right? But by hook or by crook, we keep getting it. We keep being in these games. And we're gonna do it again and all that, and then it just kind of fizzled out. The Fofana chance, like I'll never forget that. I'll keep thinking about that forever because you're right. If that's the one where it's like you score that, you win that game, you beat Parma. Like I believe, I 100% believe in the sequence of that. Like if he scores that, then you do win that game, and you do beat Parma, and you beat Cremonese, and you're at the derby with a chance to like make a dent, but you miss it and you lose all the momentum, and it just kind of like crumbles the whole season. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, we didn't really generate too much after that, which was a little bit disappointing, especially given we'd already kind of made the changes to gear up into more attacking mode for the equalising goal. It didn't really come after that, which was a shame. Let's talk about some incidents, shall we? This one actually happened in the first half and forced Pavlovic to be withdrawn because of what turned out to be a hematoma on his fibula. But could have very easily been a fractured leg, as the club themselves made everyone aware. Van der Bremt kind of goes in. You can sort of see from the still, and of course we can't show the video. All we can show is the still. But he's nowhere near the ball there. He's a yard away from the ball minimum. And his studs plant into Pavlovic's lower leg. You know, it's just above the ankle there. And it's a nasty one. Obviously, he has to come off at half-time as a result of it, and he leaves the stadium with a protective boot on, and he had to have someone drive him home because he wasn't allowed to drive home for obvious reasons. So that was a bad one, and the club, let it be known. They leaked to the media that they'd made a call to the AIA, the Italian Referees Association, about this incident and the next one that we're going to talk about. I must admit, when this happened at the time, didn't think anything of it. I just didn't.
They just got on with it so fast.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the incident happening at all. I mean, I've obviously seen the replay, I've seen the stills, but this is a red card. This is a clear red card. I mean, we've seen this go to VAR, get reviewed, straight red, time and time and time again. So why this had zero fuss from anyone? I mean, and maybe it did, and I just completely missed it, but my recollection is Pavlovic got up, and then
we were even surprised that he got subbed off.
Yeah, we were.
At halftime, we were like, what happened?
Yeah. Because I was like, if anyone should be taken off, it's Tomori. Tomori was the worst of the three. And then Pavlovic was off, and it was like, that doesn't make any sense. But it definitely makes sense now, right? And, I mean, this is a straight red that likely changes the entire course of the game, obviously. Being 10 minutes. Because what minute was this? This was opening 20.
It was in the first sort of, it might be 17th, 18th minute, something like that.
Which is even more insane that they thought he broke his fibula or whatever, but then he stayed on. You know, like if I think I have a broken leg from a challenge, why are you so hard-headed that you want to get up and play on? No, stay down. Stay down. Draw attention to this. Force the sub. Force a stretcher to prove a point. Force the review. Get him sent off. Like, I'm not saying Pavlovic is at blame, obviously, but we see it with Barella. We see it with Bastoni. We see it with all these players and all of our direct rivals, that they create hyperbole around any situation to draw attention from the referees, to force reviews, to force cards, to force sending offs, all these things. And Pavlovic jumps up because of pride, or does he just not know that there's a consequence to this action? Like, I genuinely don't know what he was thinking, other than that really hurt and I want to be tough, so let me just stand up. Like, because you stay down on the soft challenges. Those are the ones where you're like, I could milk this. But when you're hurt, you want to be the tough guy, and you're like, I'm good. So he gets up, and it's like, dude, this changes the game, right? This happens.
It was 42nd minute, by the way. I was
okay,
wrong.
so it was right before halftime. All right.
Yeah. So he probably played on, I guess, a bit through adrenaline, and then realised at halftime, no, my legs swollen to fuck. It's a nasty one from the still. Dare I say, this might be one of those where the still could be a bit more incriminating than it was at the time. So excuse me, I do think it's a red card because there was clearly enough force to cause what has thankfully turned out not to be a serious injury. But if his leg buckles under that kind of pressure, we're not surprised, right? We've already had a fractured fibula this season, albeit in training on Adon Jashari. So we're aware of how they happen and how long they can rule players out for. My only thing is that I don't think his studs were up at any point. It's actually more of an unfortunate point of contact than anything. His foot's flat. It's just that it comes down on top of the leg. So I'm probably leaning towards red card, but it's certainly not. It's not like the Dele Alli one from last season, when he goes studs up into the back of the calf, and it's like, well, that's just malicious. I think it's more unfortunate timing and contact, but we've seen them given now. We see them given. And
I think the most telling part of this, look at the reaction on the face of the French Alexander-Arnold over there, and tell me that's not, like, he knows what that is. He's saying, oh, fuck. Here we go. That's a sending off. And
that might just be his face. Like Gabriel Jesus permanently looks puzzled.
Yeah. What was the American that we had? That was the right back. Same thing. He always looks stoned.
Oh, Dest.
Yes, Eugenio Dest.
Yeah. So that's that. Bdair, what do you think? Red or no?
In real time, like you, I didn't think of anything of it. I just thought he lost the ball, but like AJ said, he should have been on the floor. He should have been dying and rolling around and getting a review. And it's insane that we have to say that. Is the whole I'm the most pro VAR person in the entire world, by the way. But the fact that these replays get shown on TV, which means they see them too, right? So like they know they can just stop the game, say, hey, we're going to take 5 seconds to look at this, and send them up. Like they could easily just do that. They don't need the whole rolling around. But it seems that if there's not a commotion on the field, they're just like, whew, we don't have to deal with that one.
Yeah.
Like it actually just feels like they abdicate responsibility if the players don't themselves like do the extra.
Yeah.
And then it's exactly why you should dive. You should always dive. Like we criticize Bastoni, and I criticize Bastoni because it's against us. But I want my players to do exactly that. I will never. I'm not taking any. I never take any moral superiority about it. I absolutely want our players to do that because if you're the idiot who tries to play fair, you end up. Kessie used to do that all the time. By the way, Kessie used to get the shit kicked out of him. But because he was bigger and stronger than everybody, he would just stay up. And it's like, dude, you're getting fouled. You're hurting. Like they are hurting you. And you're not gaining any advantage from this. Like, take the foul.
Well, you hurt your own team by not taking the foul.
Right, exactly.
Like most situations. Obviously, there's a few where you're like, okay, stay up. You could do something with this. But the vast majority, that's not the case. And this one, I mean, like you said, they have each review. Like there's a million cameras in these stadiums. They obviously are showing it on TV. They picked it out and said, this is a challenge you want to watch. So why aren't we reviewing it? Right? That should be natural. It should be every single time possession changes, they should take just a quick watch. Watch all the feet, watch all the hands. Watch it twice. Boom, boom. You know, and I understand that the game's fast and you can't maybe do all that in real time, but you should be able to do that with at least one time with every change of possession, right? Like the referees in the VAR room are not on site. They don't need to be calling the game on the field. That's what the actual referee is for. That's what the assistant referees are for. That's what the fourth referee is for. The VAR room just needs to be communicating when they say, like, they're watching it. Okay, game's moving fast. They're not watching the game, but they're looking at the screen to watch the review. The fourth official or someone in their ear, change of possession again. Oh, okay. Well, this one's clean. Let's switch to the next one real quick. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but there's got to be something here. And it's so interesting how different the standard is in Italy versus elsewhere. And I've said it on this podcast multiple times, but the reason Inter continues to do well is because players like Barella and players like now Bastoni, who I don't think was known for this in the past, but specifically Barella, these guys flop to no fucking end, and they always get shit called for them because of the theatrics. But then they go to the national team with Italy, or they go to the Champions League, where it's not these Italian referees, and they don't get any calls, and they lose games. And you wonder, well, what's the difference? It's because they don't have these stupid Italian referees that are reviewing VAR and looking for theatrics to call. That's what they want to see in Italy. I don't know why. You shouldn't want that. You know, this is not... It's not the WWE. We should be just saying, okay, contact foul, call it. And there's just I don't know. I mean, we could talk about refereeing decisions till we're blue in the face, and unfortunately, we're going to continue to do that because of the rest of this episode. But yeah, this one's let's get to the bigger one, unless there's more comments.
Yeah. No. This is a disgrace. I can't bring about the correct words to describe how angry shit like this makes me, because we've now been on the receiving end of it 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
There was Simone Inzaghi, when he was Inter manager, who blocked a run from Teo around the outside because he was stood outside of his technical area. Now you might say that's not a direct, like he didn't actually touch him or whatever, but you're interfering with play. Kivu blocking a throw-in from Rabiot. He's literally just, what?
And then for him to comment on this and say, keep your hands to yourself or some bullshit, like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and then Fabregas does this. Yeah, I don't look this particular screenshot, because it's blocked off by the bottom bar. It's from Errore Arbitral. It's a really good account. Where there's a guy who I would say is quite objective, and you know don't know who he supports or anything like that, but his feed is a really good breaking down what each incident is and what the rule says about that particular thing. His feed for the past few weeks is basically entirely our games, which says a lot about it. But as you can kind of see here, Fabregas holds back Salamakers as he tries to chase two Como players. And this has obviously been spotted by our dugout, Allegri above all, who has gone over and shouted a volley of abuse at Fabregas. He's been given a red card for this. Fabregas gets nothing and play continues. And the red card for Allegri has since been upheld by the sporting judge. That's why he wasn't in the dugout against Parma. Fabregas were thinking, okay, well, they've got to do something, right? They're going to take a look back at that, see that he did touch him, regardless of whether it's a tug, a firm pull, whatever, it's contact, it's not allowed, and he's going to get a multi-game ban for this, right? No, he doesn't, because that's not how things work in Italy. He admitted it after the game. He actually went to the cameras and said, I got that wrong. I'm young, I'm inexperienced, I won't do that again, all that shit. He's told you he's done it. Unfortunately, it's not like the admittance of guilt should lessen the penalty in this case. It just isn't. He's done something that's impacted a game. I mean, does this stop Salamakers running through on goal? No, it doesn't. So you can't say that it leads to or it avoids a goal or anything like that. But it's just the precedent that it sets that all of a sudden coaches, based on the 3 incidents that have happened against us, are now able to involve themselves in the game and to hamper our players trying to do their job. As you can see in the bottom right thing there, sorry if you're listening, but there's been some insinuation that from Fabregas it was a reflex reaction because Salamakers, not knowing it, stamps back on his foot. Stay in your fucking area then, maybe, and then you might not get stood on because the game's happening,
I mean, there's 2 infractions there. There's 2 infractions. He's out of his box, and then he's shirt pulling. Out of the box, he's like a foot out of there, and every manager does it, so I give him a slight pass. It's still bullshit, but I give him a slight pass. The shirt tug, whether you get stepped on or not, if you get stepped on, the thought is, why the fuck did you step on me? And then you look down and you see, oh, I'm not in my box. Okay, I'm in the field of play. I better step back. Not let me pull this guy who he just pushed the ball between the 2 players. Like, there is a world where he gets to that and is on goal. Is it likely? No, but there is a world. Now, the other issue is Salamakers has made himself a villain in this league because he is that notorious flopper. And right before this game, he admitted that he flops at every touch, which is even worse than doing it, is saying this is what I'm going to do. So now you'll never get a single call because every referee goes, well, he told us he's going to flop anytime he's touched. So he probably was touched. It probably is a flop. Like, they're not going to review it. And then his reaction here, the ref is again thinking, oh, well, he's a notorious flopper. He's a shitster. He's not going to do anything. Like, he's, you see people on Twitter call him a gnat. And that's honestly what he is. He is annoying. I don't even like him as a player on our squad. I thought he was horrible in this game specifically. But that doesn't matter. The manager of the other team grabbed him and stopped a potential counter. Now, the part where I scream conspiracy, and I know we all want to be objective and fair and say it's not real, but the world has uncovered a lot larger conspiracies than referees cheating in Serie A before, okay? Especially in the last couple of weeks.
Which has also been uncovered as well.
Yeah, a couple times. So maybe 3, who knows? The 4th official is right behind Fabregas, and that's who Salamakers turns around to and gets in his face and is putting the finger in. Like, I thought Salamakers was getting sent off because I didn't see the shirt pulling live, but I saw him go to the 4th official. The 4th official shrugs his shoulders like, I didn't see anything. And that's when Allegri's losing his mind because now the referee is actively saying, yeah, I wasn't there. It's like, did you have your eyes closed? Because it's as close to him as this MVP trophy was to me. I mean, it was right there. So how did he not see it? And why did, when the referee came over, the main referee, why did he not say, this is what I saw, this is what happened, we need to address this? Like, send Allegri off. You can't throw abuse. You can't leave your area. You can't attack the other manager. Send Allegri off. But send Fabregas too because it's his fault. He's the villain here, not Allegri. defending
You can
your
VAR
players
review
is
red
fine.
card offences. Like, this is what I don't understand. So, obviously, yes, that rule exists in place for players, but you think a manager getting a red card isn't also quite a big deal, especially when it's for something like physical contact. So, the fact that the process isn't in place for them to be able to actually look at what's happened here, because then he's getting the multi-game ban, right? Because it's going to be upgraded from there. But, yeah, don't know.
It's honestly like you guys are talking about a multi-game ban. I mean, Fonseca in France got a 9-month ban for after a game confronting a referee, getting in his face, like going over the top. You got a 9-month ban for that. This is a year. It's at least a year, because if it's again, I don't care. I don't think like, oh, there's some conspiracy or whatever. But what this does do is it absolutely destroys anybody's trust in the referees or anybody's trust in the system. Like that's a fact. This guy, who is not a player, first of all, he came out and he admitted it, but he still was like, I thought Allegri's response was a bit over the top. I'm like, no, actually, if Allegri's the median level of what Allegri's response should have been was to walk over there and punch you in the fucking face, right? That's the median response, right? If anything, Allegri went way below that, right? By just exiting his technical area and hurling abuse, like that. He's an absolute disgrace in everything, in his coaching, but in the idea that his first reaction to getting stamped is to pull. You're not a footballer. Your first reaction cannot be to pull the player. You're not a footballer. You're a coach. Your first reaction, like AJ said, is get the fuck back in your area. Who the hell are you? Like,
agreed.
It's an absolute disgrace. He should be banned. If he's not, yes, they haven't taken action now, but I have to, like, there's no way they're gonna try to sweep this under the rug, but it's an absolute disgrace. I mean, it's Allegri. What Allegri basically said is, like, the next time somebody comes in my area, I'm a slide tackle them. Like, what is the line? What is the line, and how is this in any way acceptable? And the fact that he comes out and tries to kind of downplay it in a way, like, oh, my bad, just got lost.
I'm young. I haven't been doing this for very long, guys. Fuck off,
man.
you
It
cunt.
just happens. Like, what's the line? What's the line? Because the next, I promise, this guy doesn't even have any pressure to do anything. Okay, what a relegation manager has some pressure. A player right in front of him. Why can't he just fucking lob him a hook? Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the line? It's an absolute disgrace in every
I do
way,
want to see the Allegri slide tackle. That would be great.
No, but I'm saying, like, Allegri's not gonna do that. But, like, it's escalating to a point. Like, why is one of these coaches not just gonna give a hip check to somebody as they're running? Like you mentioned the Teo Inzaghi one, right? Like, Inzaghi don't do anything. Like, he gets in the way, but he's not trying to do anything. But what's to stop one of these coaches to do something? Just
and he says, I was walking backwards. I was trying to get out the way, and he takes Teo out. Or
he trips.
I mean, the Kivu one is really, really bad as well. We kind of won the game, so we're looking at it through the lens of victory. And I'm not saying we'd laugh about it, but we called it a disgrace there and then. But to block a throw in is fucking mental. You get a yellow card for that as a player. And the fact that was almost sort of laughed off is just,
Oh, it was laughed off by Rabiot.
Escalation.
It was a throw-in, and it shouldn't have been, because we were winning, and that's why I was like, yeah, whatever. Because it ultimately was more time wasting, so we didn't care because we were winning that game. But that's also a red card and a suspension, like a lengthy suspension. What are you doing impacting the play? Whether it's for your team or against your team, which you could argue it was against his team because it was delaying the game that they were losing, in like the 85th minute or whatever, but you're impacting the game. You can't do that. Like, it's
and we're seeing the escalation, because it starts with, okay, I'm kind of in the way of Teo's run. Like, okay, I'm kind of there, right? There's some plausible deniability. Then the next one is like, I'm fully like stopping you from doing what you want to do as a player. And now it's this is physical contact, like with a player. Like, it's escalating higher and higher. And because there should have been zero tolerance. There should have been a ban from the beginning, right? And then if you do it the more egregious one, you get an even higher ban. And this should be a year. And the next, because you're gonna see it again. There's no doubt in hell that you're gonna see this again if it goes unpunished. Why wouldn't you?
Well,
You know
all
what I'm
three
saying?
incidents have benefited one
facilitators.
team, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, well, it just facilitates knobhead behaviour. I really liked what Allegri said, was overheard shouting at him in the corridor outside the press conference room. You're a child and you're an asshole. Sums it up pretty damn well. That it's petulant behaviour and you're a knobhead for speaking about it the way that you did. Allegri said it better than I could have done in that situation.
Yeah.
Let's quickly look at the stats, then do tops and flops, and then do Parma in about 10 minutes. We had more of the ball. Hey, funny. Just funny, but what it was that kind of game. I thought could probably do a really interesting tactical breakdown of it. We've of course got the tactical analysis about why Fabregas decided to match us up and say we're going to beat you at your own game and then didn't do it. They did have more XG than us. Admittedly, I think majority of that is going to be that Nico Paz was given like a 0.95 XG chance.
Yeah,
goal.
exactly.
2 big chances to 3 suggests it was more open than what it actually was to me. They had more shots, we had more on target, 4 corners to 3, blah, blah, blah. Relatively even, I guess. Top for me, Jashari. Flop, unfortunately, Manian.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Can I nominate a flop real quick?
Yeah, go on.
This game has to be the end of Nkunku's time at Milan. We should never have to see him again. He's an absolute disgrace. And because I'm watching the game and Leao is physically he's not there, all this stuff. But you know what? I see Leao. When he sucks, when he can't move, I still see Leao. I say, damn, he miscontrolled the pass there. Damn, he used to be able to make that run. He doesn't anymore. I notice him all the damn time. Nkunku, unnoticeable. He's not injured.
He hides.
He
hides
he's
from the
not
game.
in the play.
So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let me just say, genuinely forgot he even played. So when you
That's
started
what I'm
saying that,
saying.
I was like, "What do you mean Nkunku? Like he was?"
Boy,
I was like,
I am
Parma. I just pulled up his stats from the game right now. Let me read this to you guys. Obviously, no surprise, 0 goal, 0 assist. Expected assist 0.01. Chances created 0. Shots on target 0. Shots off target 0. No shots. He did nothing. He's a striker.
Yeah, against a Como defense that has been playing as a 4 all season and switched to playing with 3 centre backs, and one of them isn't a natural centre back, and he couldn't get anything going.
So if you're not shooting, then you should be defending, right? Well, 0 tackles and dribble past 1 time, and duels. At least you're winning the ball, right? 0 out of 1 aerial duels 1, and 2 out of 8 ground duels 1. Fouled twice, committed 1 foul.
He's not even in the play, and the worst part is he doesn't misplace passes. You come out of these games, and this is the same thing I used to say about CDK, right? You come out of these games and you don't see him, and you go to the stat and you're like, he completed 15 out of 16 passes. You know what that tells me? If you complete 15 out of 16 passes and you didn't try anything. You did not try anything. You got the ball a bunch of times, 24 touches. You got the ball 24 times, and not one time did you think, you know what? Let's go for it. No.
24 touches and 16 passes.
Yeah, there's nothing there. He's an absolute disgrace. And if the Bologna game gave us any hope, this one should have killed his career. I never want to see him from Milan again. I'm not even exaggerating. When the guy next to you can't move and he's still consistently outperforming you. How can that happen? How can that happen?
Yeah,
40 million.
I did the 5 things for this, and I put that Nkunku is the perfect skirt around the periphery and look busy type player, as in like, I'm just holding this defender here, and then I get the ball and I pass it straight back, and just like looking like he's busy and productive, and actually does fuck all. Just nothing to ask any questions, nothing to stretch the defense at the right times. Nothing to. I mean, it was right that it spoke volumes to me that Leao is clearly playing on one leg, and when that sub came, it was full crook for Nkunku. And
exactly. Because when we all saw him, we all thought it was going to be Leao, and even on one leg, Allegri still like that guy still gives me a better chance, and he's right. Still gives me a better chance of getting a goal. And the other one, by the way, is Ricci, who I said all summer and continues to. There's nothing exceptional about him. There's nothing special about him. He doesn't have one outstanding quality. He's just a good, decent Serie A midfielder, and that's not what you pay 25 million or whatever the hell we paid for him. He should be at Torino. That should have been the height of his career, right? He should have been a Torino midfielder. That's what he is, And that's what we have right now in our squad. And he doesn't fit because the only position he has is where he can play is where there's 2 other better guys. He makes no sense in the squad.
Way better guys as well. Like,
Infinitely.
Yeah. To say he's supposed to be this kind of smart, retain possession, metronomic, keep it ticking midfielder, he hides. He's another one who just hides. Yeah. Like when the going gets tough, he is nowhere to be seen. And there's another one who when I put up the lineup graphic, then I actually forgot that he played. Like that cannot be the case for the central midfielder, especially when you've got 2 players of such quality next to you. They should bring more out of you rather than see you sink into your shell. Okay, right, let's move on quickly. Parma, crash course it. This was the team, but this wasn't the team. This was the team at the time that it was announced. Gabbia gets injured in the warm-ups. De Winter comes in. Bartazaghi drops into the 3-man defence. Strano. Estupinian playing left wing back. Salamanca's Loftus-Cheek drops into midfield. Again, not the position he's been playing for the last few weeks now. Rabiot comes back in. Modric is there. We finally see Leao and Pulisic up front for only their 3rd start together in Serie A this season. So, yeah, that was the team. I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest. I think De Winter should have started from minute 1, and that should have allowed Bartazaghi to play on his usual left side. You don't need to play Estupinian just for the sake of it. We're playing once a week now. I know we played Wednesday night, but we're playing once a week for the rest of the season. We don't need to rotate just for the sake of it. Not really sure what the fuck he's doing, dropping Jashari, either after performance like that. I think that's a disgusting decision. And it's the first time. It's not the first time, but it's certainly the most obvious selection error that he's made for me so far this season. I didn't like the team.
I don't understand why we play Estupinian. I don't understand why we played Estupinian and Bartazaghi. That doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not that Bartazaghi can't be a center back. It's just that he's not. We have Pavlovic, who is hurt. Okay, fine. But we had De Winter from the start. And yes, we know Gabbia got hurt in warm-up, but he wasn't hurt when this lineup was made. That's the part that confuses me. If Gabbia was hurt prior, then you go, okay, we have an injury crisis. This is what we have to do. And I don't think anyone's really mad at it. But we're looking at it and we're saying, Allegri got this entirely wrong. The entire lineup is wrong. Now, dropping Jashari, bad. Leao and Pulisic up top, you said this is the 3rd start this season. It's worked once. It was in the derby, and Leao was mostly invisible, almost had a chance at the end. Pulisic scored, but it was kind of like the only thing he did that match. Neither of them are back to 100. Yeah, I get you're not starting Cuckoo, but maybe Fulkrug and Leao. Fulkrug and Pulisic. However you want to do it, I think that's better. I think Leao and Pulisic just simply cannot play together as lone strikers. I think they need a striker in between them because we've seen it now 3 times. And unfortunately, that's not a lot in this whole season. So maybe it could get better as they build chemistry, but it hasn't done anything for me. Pulisic plays in this 3-5-2 as an individual. He's not linking up very well with these players. He's creating stuff on his own and he's taking these shots. And up until the start of this new year, he's been successful with it. Like, I'm not going to pretend he hasn't been great this season. It's just after the turn of the New Year's, for whatever reason, probably the injuries, he can't find the back of the net. And when you have a guy like Leao next to him who is essentially in the exact same position, does a lot of individual brilliance, creates from nothing, been injured the majority of the year, first half of the season, he struggled to find the back of the net. If you put them together, they're both struggling to create together. They're not meshing. It isn't the right system for 2 wingers to be playing striker up top. So that's my soapbox on that. You could talk me off of it. I'll probably cave because they are the 2 best players on this team. But the issue is Estupinian, get him out of the club. No reason for that. Bartazaghi should be there. Throw Pavlovic in because ultimately he did play, correct? He came on and played? Yeah, so he was fine. Loftus-Cheek, look, we know we're going to talk about it. He's out forever. Rest in peace, buddy. I don't know. But Jashari should never have been dropped, right? I get playing Rabiot in this. He's back from suspension. He's still a yellow card away from another suspension now. So ideally he gets it in this game. Mrs. Cremonese is fully fit for the derby. Now we're in this weird situation where it's like you want to rest him for Cremonese, but you can't because Loftus-Cheek is long-term injured now. So you have to play him, and now you're risking for the derby anyway. So
don't fucking matter, does it?
It's just a whole
the
mess.
Derby's not what it was going to be, so...
And I would have started at the Game as well over Salamakers. That guy sucks. look, he came into this season, and I was like, Salamaker's turned a new leaf. And then he flipped the leaf back over to the side it once was, and I just don't want to see him again.
He's doing a really good job at the moment, Allegri, of dropping players that are getting into form, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like I thought he was the manager who was, and look, I'm still 95% positive about him and what he's done, and he's taken us from 8th to 2nd. Okay, the Scudetto pursuit has vanished in the past few days. There's no two ways about it, but that's partly because of this ridiculous. I saw the stats. We're on. Are we on 54 points at the moment? I think, and Napoli, who obviously won the league last season, at this point we're on 56. So we're near enough at last season's Scudetto pace. It's just because Inter have won fucking 20 out of 20. 21 out of 26. Yeah, that's mental. Like we can't. So I'm still massively in support of what he's done, the way that he's transformed the club after such a chaotic year. But just more and more doubts, I think, about the starting lineup choices. And then he always has to firefight with his in-game changes, which is what we're seeing more and more. When our bench has been limited at best all season, we're always a bit hamstrung in terms of the changes that we can make to do things. And I think we signed Fulkrug in January. We kind of hoped for him to be an impact signing, but I think clubs now are realising, opponents are realising, he's literally our break glass in case of emergency player that we throw on. And if you can just stop him from getting the ball anywhere near goal, you're fine. And that is what's proven to be the case. Bdair, any lineup comments?
I'm going to speed run the whole game. Tomori cannot get an extension. It's an absolute disgrace that he's even he does not deserve an extension. At best, you let him play one more year here, and see what that goes. But he's not played at an extension level. Salamakers is. I've been a proponent of selling high on Salamakers for months now. He is only valuable in the middle phase. Okay, he can't defend. He offers you nothing there. He's great at moving the ball up the field. Right, which is only valuable from a right wing back because we have such awful center backs. We only focus on that. We only need that because of how awful our center backs are. And to improve that, like we need to, he becomes less valuable. And once he gets to the final third, he has no idea there's nothing in that brain of his. There's nothing in that brain. And then he dives for the penalty. And like Anthony said, why on earth are you telling them that you dive? Does he think that every referee in the entire country read that? There's no way, nobody missed it. Everybody read it, and everybody's thinking, I'm not giving a penalty to that guy. What the hell? He has to be basically assaulted in the box for it to get a penalty at this point. Absolute moron. He's gone.
He got assaulted outside of the field of play, and nothing happened, so.
Who knows what this fucking Estupinian gone? Just what an awful player. That's one for. I can't believe that in this day and age, there's still Milan fans being like, anything can be better than this. I'm like, I thought we learned that lesson over the past 15 years. We things can get bad. Anything can be better than Teo. No. The Leao Pulisic thing, I'm still. I just don't. We've never given it a fair shake. Like you said, since third start together, they've never had the opportunity to build any sort of chemistry. And as long as the other options suck, and they do, I'm just fine. Play the best two players and just put them both on the field. Whatever. I thought Modric was good. Rabiot was fine. Once we switched him over to the right hand side when Jashadi, which just kind of neutralized a lot of his ball striking, because a lot of it was he's coming onto his left foot. It's you know what I'm saying? The ball's coming to him. He's striking out for left foot. Now it's completely different. Now he became a crosser, which is not where his value is. And I thought it was weird that just play Jashadi on the right. I haven't watched Jashadi I didn't watch him at Club Brugge, but from what I've seen, I haven't seen a guy who's he really needs the left-hand side of the field. I thought De Winter was good.
Yes,
I thought he was good.
He's our best centre back.
Yes, and yet somehow he keeps being the fucking black sheep. It makes no sense. He's the best one by very far. He has been the best opportunity at us having a competent centre back the entire season, and he's still the one being left out. I don't know why. Looking at the bench, Nkunku, Fulkrug, disgrace. Why are they at the club? Ethicam is fine. I have hope. I have hope for him. Pavlovic, he came on with 30 minutes to go, and he tried, but whatever. We have such few ways to score, and I know we're gonna get to the refereeing controversy, whatever. I don't have any energy for it, honestly. Like I
Okay,
know
fine.
people.
I do.
People. No, again, listen. It was a foul, right? But I've seen people like lose their mind the next morning, and I'm just like, listen, dude, we played that badly. Like it was going to be a 0-0. It was never. We were never going to win that game, right?
Yeah.
So when the difference is between being 10 points away from Inter or 9 points away from Inter, I don't whatever. This team was not a title-winning team. They proved it today. They have very on that day. They have very, very little solutions, and I have now. I'm back off the delusion now that it's all over. I have questions about where the hell do we go from here, because I don't know if we just roll it back the next year.
Yeah, I think next season's going to be a struggle for various reasons. But for this team, I get what you're saying about it doesn't matter. This was 0-0. There was the moment where Leao hit the inside of the post and came out. That's unlucky, but nonetheless, it didn't go in, and it wasn't going in. So you can't change history with that. But for me, the Scudetto ended against Como. That was the game in hand. That was the one that was going to bring it to 5, and then we beat them in the derby, and it's 2, and the pressure's on. We beat Juve, and that's it. We win. Everything was lining up. We were good against all odds. Then we lost, or we drew to Como, and there was bullshit in that game, and that killed the momentum, killed the mood. Inter then goes on to win because they get the first game every week. And whatever. They go ahead to win, but then Juventus lose. Napoli lose. And we're thinking, okay, we beat Parma and we have a 10-point gap to
11
place.
It would have been
11-point gap to
with
5th
12
place.
games to go. It's almost done at that point.
Yeah.
Now it's
and do you know what the thing is? You say that about the Scudetto went against Parma, and sorry, I'll let you carry on your floor. The Scudetto went against Como, sorry. You have to win every game. Allegri said it. He said we have to win 12 of our last 13 games to even have a chance of winning the league the way that Inter are going. So why didn't we fucking play like we needed to win it? Why did we not commit a few more bodies? Like, were we really going for 1-0? Really, in that game?
Yeah.
Is that what we...
Look, I've been calling for a system change for a while. And I know that this is Allegri ball. This is how he plays. It's very defensive, be hard to beat, score on the break, take your chances, make them count, and then you win a bunch of 1-0s. And look, that's fine, but it doesn't play to the strengths of the players that we have. Now, our center backs are all awful. Bdair, you've been saying this for 2 years now, 3 years now. We need one strong player. I hope the God Spurs get relegated and we could get Christian Romero or some shit. I don't know. Give me someone better that we could slot in there and make it a 4-3-3 again, because that's where our players shine. We need our best players who are wingers to be playing as wingers, not strikers. We need an actual striker in the middle of the pack who can be a striker, who could be that guy who receives those crosses or rebounds or take penalties, even that. Something that's strange this season, we're getting a decent amount of penalties. Everyone's missing them. We can't score a penalty. It's ridiculous. There's so many things going on with the way this lineup is. It's just not good. We don't need wingbacks. I don't think we even need a Teo-esque fullback. I think Bartazagi can be a good fullback who occasionally gets forward. Even at the Kame could be the same. But the issue is we have 4 bad center backs. We need one decent one in De Winter or whomever becomes that guy. And then you sign someone who's really a rock in the defense who could solidify that and allow us to go forward. And then you get your Jashari or Rabiot and whoever you need in midfield. We need another player there. But then you have a team that could actually get forward and score some goals, in my opinion. I'm not going to pretend like I know more about winning games than Allegri does, but my thoughts is that's what this team needs, is something like that. And everyone thought the formation was weird when Allegri came. We all said, well, how does this fit in to Leao? How does this fit into Pulisic? Everyone was concerned. And then we signed Nkunku, and it's like, well, he doesn't fit in either. And, anyways, I'm going on a tangent unrelated to Parma here, but we had opportunities to really do something. And yes, there was a foul in the goal. I don't know if you want to put one of those up. But
can we just talk about the Loftus-Cheek thing quickly first?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Because that happened in the first few minutes.
Yes.
By the way, I agree with everything you're saying about like concerns about formation moving forward. For me, the 3-5-2 can produce very good football, but it needs time. It's probably the most difficult system in football to assimilate properly. Inter have been doing it for years. They are lighting teams up playing a 3-5-2, and it looks like the most attacking formation in the world when they do it because they know what they're doing. I don't hate the idea of us persisting with it. If Allegri thinks that for now it's the best thing to do, it's got us results. It has got us second place. I also think that, like, you look at the weighting of our squad, the fact we lack natural fullbacks, the fact that we don't have many fit forwards at the same time, it's kind of been the only formation we can play at various moments in the season. But whether there's a next step and evolution, that has to come in the summer. You know, it has to be through transfer business. This squad has to become 27 players, not 19 players. So that's all to be decided. But for now, I think he's doing it because it's become a bit of a comfort blanket. And I think in certain games, it's not so much a formation issue, it's a selection issue because he got, I think, 4 players wrong in this starting lineup. And it's a bit of a mentality issue too, in that the players are lacking some bravery in certain moments, and like, you know, they played a 5-3-2 block, and it's like we just fell into the same patterns of recycling possession on the edge of the box. It took too long to try and get. Anyway, Loftus-Cheek gets taken out by Corvi, the Parma goalkeeper, within the first few minutes. No jokes here because, you know, it was a very, very scary moment. He looked like he was out cold at first on the deck, and then the cameras zoom in and you see a lot of blood involved, and Leao goes straight over and he's like, change. The medics run out there. He goes off on a stretcher with a neck brace on. That will have likely shaken the players up a little bit, you know, because you don't know how he is. He goes straight off to hospital for surgery to put some new teeth in, first of all, and fix a fractured jaw. It's pretty bad. My lukewarm take on this is that I don't think it was a penalty. I think, you know, the argument that the keeper doesn't get the ball and the defender gets there first, well, neither does Loftus-Cheek. It's just a collision, I'm afraid. It's an unfortunate one, but it's just a collision. And also, he didn't punch him in the face. It was a head-on-head collision. So I'm afraid it's an unfortunate one, but they've both gambled on the defender not getting the ball, and they've hit each other. And it's a bad one. It's a painful one, but it could have easily been the Parma goalkeeper out cold too. I'm afraid it's just an unfortunate one. I don't think it was a penalty, personally.
I think it is simply because of the Mignon red card and penalty against, I believe it was the Genoa or Sassuolo.
That was totally different. He came out with his knee up
but
here.
That's a normal goalkeeping thing. They teach that in goalkeeping training. When you come out for the ball, you scream, you know, ball, keeper, whatever, and you knee up and you grab it. Like that's a normal goalkeeper motion. And the Sassuolo player, Genoa, I don't remember who it was, went to hit it out of his hands and he failed. It didn't even like puncture him. It was just into it. Whereas this broke someone's jaw. Like, I mean, at the very least, review it, right? There was no review. It was just, okay, he's off the field. Let's go.
That I agree with. Yeah.
They said it was a foul on Ruben. They said he fouled it.
Yeah. They got that.
Look, if we're protecting goalkeepers, then why did we not protect Mike in this one? There was 2 obstructions on Mike, and then there was a foul on Bartazaghi. You know, like, for me, it's like, I know you mentioned in the chat when this happened is like, you said you understand the consistency argument. That's not the argument I'm making, because I don't think they're inconsistent with results. They are very consistent. It's whatever harms Milan the most is what they consistently choose. Because you look at 2 identical fouls, and if it goes against Milan, it gets called or not called. And if it goes for Milan, it gets called or not called. You know, like it's only whatever harms us is what seems to be called.
Just for disclosure, though, the consistency thing was about the block, not this.
Yes, I know.
Not the Loftus-Cheek one. But you're right. Yeah, we always seem to get the shit end of the stick, basically. Yeah, and we do, and I can't deny that. We do.
And the other thing is, the one that really makes this one odd is the goal that it was a Gabbia goal, I believe, against Sassuolo as well, actually.
Yes.
It was the same referee, but the referee who called it off after a VAR review. It's the same referee that called this one on after a VAR review. And this one's more egregious because you have 2 center backs blocking Mike. One of them actually looks at Mike and then backs up and blocks him. But then you have the Bartazaghi thing where he's double hand pushing down on either his neck or his head. We got this still here?
Yeah, throw it up
there
here. Sorry, my bad. Right, there we go. So, you can see it again. This is our Vitrala.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a bad one. It's a bad one. But
And you see the center back there, number 5, blocking Mike. Look at him laughing because he's the one who just turned around and looked at Mike and then backed into him too. Like
It's the fact
look,
that they give there's like a 10-minute review or some bullshit, and they still come up with that. It's just all right.
and to call it off on the field tells me you saw the action and said that was bullshit. So why were you then called the VAR, and why didn't you stick to your guns? You know, like what did you see in VAR to say, yeah, this wasn't a big deal actually. I know live it was bad, but if I slow it down, it's no longer egregious. Like I don't understand. He watched it for 10 minutes, like you said.
Yeah.
If it takes you 10 minutes to make a change, it's not clear and obvious enough to overrule anything. So the ruling on the field has to stand. It has to. When it's a no-goal ruling, it has to stand if it takes you 10 minutes to make a decision.
The 2 goals that you mentioned earlier, the first one was Gabbia away against Lecce. That got chalked off for a push in the back with the referee. That was soft as shit, embarrassing decision. Then there was the Pulisic against Sassuolo in the home game. It would have put us 3-1 up, and it was judged for a foul, Loftus-Cheek, 2 hands in the back of the defender. Also wasn't a foul. I'm going to say that this probably isn't either. And the incriminating thing, and again, we want the consistency and every decision's gone against us, blah, blah. The incriminating thing for Bartizaghi is that he doesn't jump. Now, if this is an aerial ball in the middle of the field, he doesn't jump and the other player goes over the top of him. It's a foul for the other player because it's called pole vaulting. You're not allowed to do it. As if you're going up for a ball and you go like that, like Harry Kane's kind of made a career out of doing it, but it's deemed dangerous play because you then... you're enforcing the opponent to fall. You see it given all the time in the open field. There's 2 hands in the back of the head, and I think that still makes it look like he's clambered all over him and stuff like that. But Bartizaghi hasn't made a play for the ball, unfortunately.
I don't know how you can jump when you got a guy on top of you like that. That's my thought. But
he wasn't on top of him when the ball's coming over. He just doesn't jump.
And maybe he's a late jumper. Who knows? I don't know. But
the thing I'll disagree with is yes, in general, you're right that he doesn't jump. But when Trollio, whatever his name is, make contact with the ball, that's not in his area. Look where the ball, the ball has not made its way to where he was standing.
Yeah, it's not even in the still images after he jumps.
Right, the ball was where Bartizaghi is standing. And he's jumped over him. In my opinion, it's a foul. Because, yes, Bartizaghi is ridiculous in not jumping. And I do think he had the opportunity to, right? But also, you're not entitled to the other player jumping. Right? Like, if the other player just wants the foul on in general play that happens a lot is when one player jumps and the other one backs in, right? That's a foul. But this, he stood his ground.
He's backing in though. If you look in the still, he is also backing in.
Right, but then the hands are on the shoulder and he kind of climbs him, and he gets to the ball where Bartizaghi was. He gains an advantage by putting himself. Now again, I don't care that much about it because first of all, again, it doesn't matter in the context of the game to me. But also, Bartizaghi not put in. Bartizaghi didn't put in a real effort to get the ball and then was denied. That's not what happened. He completely fucked it. He completely was out of the play.
I don't know.
But I do think it was foul.
Look, I think the goal scorer, I can't remember his name. I don't know why. Troila. He jumps early. You could see the still when his feet leave the ground. The ball is not in the picture. Everyone's still looking off screen. So who's to say Bartizaghi wasn't going to jump? You could see in the bottom right corner there, that's still, he's already on top of him. Like Bartizaghi's now hunched over because of this. So maybe that was, all right, I'm getting ready to jump, but you can't because now you got a guy on top of you. I think there's more to it. I think we're looking at it. And maybe, look, I'm looking at it as a very jaded
still image.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I am biased and angry. So I'm always going to lean this way. But I mean, when you've watched as much Serie A this season as we have, it's like, how do you not think? I know it's cool to say there's not a conspiracy and we're we're all good. We like fair play. This league's legitimate, but it's not and hasn't been for years. And it never will be as long as Morata's
this is where the consistency thing comes back in again, because we all always want us to get the decisions that benefit us, because we probably have a lot more points in the table now, and be talking about an active title race and stuff. But I just don't feel comfortable sitting here and saying that the Gabbia goal should have stood and the Pulisic goal should have stood, and then in a similar incident we're going to say that was categorically a foul. But there's a second infringement, which I'll just quickly throw up here, which is a block from Valenti on Maignan. This has divided opinion probably even more than the other one. I'm of the opinion that goalkeepers get too much protection as it is when balls come into the box. However, in this particular case, having watched it, and we can't show the footage, but having watched the footage, he certainly does stand in his way.
Yeah.
So
this is
if we're saying that's a foul, then...
This is what I thought was a foul prior to the Bartazaghi thing. I didn't even see the Bartazaghi live. I saw that afterwards. And I was like, oh, there's multiple fouls here. But this is the one I saw. I mean, you can see Maignan's reaction. And sure, it comes a second later, but that's what happens when you lose your footing. It's not immediate. You stumble a little bit. And I think that's where they said, oh, Mike saw the ball going in and he hammed it up, because Salamakers has now admitted that that's what he does every time there's contact in the ball. Why would his teammates not do it? But look, I mean, I agree with you that if we're saying the other goal should have stood, then this one should as well. My issue is that wasn't the case, because if all three stood, hey, it is what it is. That's the rule. That's the law of the game. If all three didn't stand, well, hey, at least they're consistent. But instead, it's the ones that hurt Milan. Those are the ones that we're calling off. The ones that hurt Milan are the ones, you know what I'm saying? It's just weird how consistently negative.
There's a bit about the process that I don't understand with this, because the referee gave the foul on Maignan because that's where he put the ball for the restart. So that was looked at with some VAR reviews, and then the Bartazaghi jump was looked at. So that almost then became a second separate VAR review. So if the recommendation of the VAR chief is for an on-field review because he thinks that he's got the Maignan one wrong, he goes and looks at that. He moves on to the next phase of play, which is the second on-field review, because he thinks that he's got the Bartazaghi one wrong, i.e. it was a foul and you should look at this because you might want to change a foul on Bartazaghi. Instead, it just looked like they replayed it 30 times to try and find a way to give the goal. That was annoying.
Because the other weird thing is, like, I remember when VAR first came in, and maybe this has changed or maybe I misunderstood it, but I was always under the impression that if no goal is called on the field, you don't review it for a potential goal. You review called goals for potential no goals. That was my understanding. Now, I do think this system's better, because if it's a goal, it should be called a goal. But that was always something I thought, which is like when people just throw their hands and be like, well, it was a double yellow and it was bullshit, but there's nothing we could do. It was like, well, that's kind of the same thing for this. Am I wrong in that?
What you're thinking of is if he blows the whistle before the ball goes in the net, then you can't review it. But he actually he let the play go, the ball's in the net, and then he blows the whistle.
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Which allows him to go back and review it.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the on-field referee, to be honest, in this case, because I think he's made a decision based on what they call the on-field dynamics. And Luca Morelli, the referee pundit guy on DAZN, said it's actually kind of against the rules to call an on-field review for something like this when the original decision is no goal, or it's against what you'd advise, because he's seen it. It's nothing that he's missed. He's seen the incident perfectly in real time. Referee's not gone to the VAR guy. I didn't see what happened at the far post, or I didn't really fully see what's happened with Maignan. I just gave the foul on vibes. He's saying he's seen it. And then the VAR chief's like, we've seen it too. So it's like, what are we going with here? So the referee's been overruled.
Exactly. What they're saying is the referee saw something on the field, said that is a foul. It's been judged a foul. He saw it with his eyes in real time. And the video people saw it at the same time and said, I don't think it is a foul. I think you need to give that. And this is the other thing about VAR that drives me crazy, where it gets a lot of criticism from people and not understand the system, is like, personally, which would make this a goal, by the way, if VAR disagrees, that should be final. Like, it's not, hey, referee, you're in charge, but we think you got it wrong. Come take a look, and then you can either stick with it or listen to us. If the video assistant referee says it's wrong, then it should just be wrong. That should be the end of it. And I know that would hurt us in a lot of situations, but that A, speeds up the play, gets the game going, and B, that's the whole point, right? Like, if they're saying something was called wrong, the person who called it wrong should not have the authority to then say, well, I don't care what you think. I'm sticking with my decision. Like, that's where I think VAR is different. And it's
I
weird.
100% agree. It's two ways. We've basically made both the VAR referee and the main referee, we've made them both weak, right?
Yes,
In
agreed.
that we basically say, okay, come review this thing, right? But within that come review this thing is already the implication that the on-field referee messed up, right? And so he comes over there and he sees it, and he's got that guy in his ear telling him, here's what I saw, and here's why I think you're wrong. And 99% of the time, no matter what is seen on that screen, the guy on the field is just going to defer to the VAR guy, right? Mm-hmm. He's not going to stand up for his own decision 99% of the time, right? And then on the other hand, we have the VAR referee who makes the decision, who sees, he knows what he thinks. The VAR referee, if he wants an on-field review, he thinks that the decision was wrong, and yet we still don't give him any authority. He doesn't get to make a decision. He gets to just say, "Hey, buddy, you want to come see this?" That's it. Yeah. So we've made both these referees weak, and that's why we get a 10-minute review. When all you have to do is put an experienced real referee as the VAR referee, because often it's a guy with 2 years of experience as a VAR referee. Put a real guy, right? Put a real guy up there, and he gets the decision. And when the names of the referees are announced, you put them side by side. Here's the game referees on the field, and he gets whatever happens in this game attached to him. And here's the VAR referee. Any decision that is made from the VAR is attached to him, and we can say this is a great VAR referee, or this one makes a lot of mistakes, and we punish him that way.
And it has to be final.
Right, exactly. And then it's a 30-second review, because the VAR referee knows what he thinks 30 seconds after seeing it the first time, right? The extra 5 minutes comes from, okay, come over. Okay, here's 62 angles that the VAR referee's already seen. He's already looked at it.
They're arguing about it. Like, look at the Lazio penalty that obviously benefited us, right? Because they didn't give it or whatever. But that's, like, to me, look, if the VAR says, there was a penalty on there, you missed it, it's got to be a penalty. But the fact that the on-field referee was allowed to say, well, I didn't think it was a penalty, and you're seeing this, but there's this other thing that I now see, so it's still wrong. It's like, okay, what are we doing? Why are we jumping through hoops? And that's
real
the quick, you guys continue. I do need to hop off. I have a meeting in like 8 seconds. So,
all right, mate.
But keep going. This is great podcast for you guys.
Yeah, we'll go past an hour and a half here. No, you're right. We weaken the position of both, and it helps nobody. It's just added layers and layers of seemingly incompetence to it all. We'll move on. The stats are the stats. It's kind of what you'd expect. We had 2/3 of the ball. The XG number wasn't very high, which says a lot about the lack of clear-cut chances that we generated. I'm guessing a lot will be Leao hitting the inside of the post with that volley from close range too, although that wasn't as easy a chance as you might think, given how well he struck it. One thing that really annoyed me, and this was our shooting from the edge of the box or just beyond the edge of the box. We had so many openings in and around then, where you'd hope that we show a bit more precision. And Pulisic's aim wasn't there at all. Shashari had a couple from you're back, don't worry.
Happened to the audio. 1 second.
That's okay. I'll keep talking till you get it back up. But yeah, the shooting from edge of the box was not good enough. We then didn't go direct enough when Fulkrug came on. But 25 total shots to 9, 6 shots on target to 3, 5 corners to 2. Like, this is the stat line of a team that should have won the game and didn't. And with it, the Scudetto dream dies. Is your audio back? Have you gone?
No, what happened? I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
The audio's just going completely.
Okay,
wait, I'm back.
Well, all right, good, cool. I was just saying the stats suggest that it's a game that we could have won, but the shooting from the edge of the box and stuff like that, the aim just wasn't there from certain players. And
Yeah.
When the change is made, we then the style flipped. Like it was frustrating.
Yeah, it's just not a good team. Honestly, it's not a good team, and I think the thing with Allegri, looking back at Allegri's history, he is successful with elite talent. He wins Scudetto at Milan. I mean, he was successful at Cagliari before all of this. So he builds you a base, right? He builds you an incredible base, and he can win above that base when he has incredible talent, Zlatan, Tevez, and so on, right? Will we ever get him that exceptional talent? No.
Don't think so.
Right?
Not with the current ownership model and strategy
Right.
and things. But that's why I think there's a big crossroads coming in the summer. But yeah.
Right. So if we're not going to give him that exceptional talent, what is the answer? Right. So how long do we do this when I don't think this can win a title? Not in a, maybe it can win you a Napoli type title. The worst title in Serie A for my lifetime, right? And everybody was weak, and maybe you can sneak one of those in. I doubt that we see that ever again, honestly. But how do you win a title like this without exceptional talent playing a generally conservative style? I don't know.
I'm slightly sorry. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, at that point, I would rather us have a coach, and this is not against Allegri, who's done a brilliant job. But at that point, given the context of this management and how awful they are, I would rather have a coach with a system that pushes the players over the top, somewhat like a Fabregas. Not because I don't want Fabregas, right? But like the idea of what Fabregas is a player, is a guy whose system is above the players, right? I feel like maybe that's the kind of coach we will have to have if we're never gonna really sign the great players.
We're scared off that though after what happened last season. I think the vision was correct with Fonseca. He just left a lot to be desired in terms of his man management, and I think when the pressure dialed up on him, he cracked a little bit. Whereas now he's obviously back in France. He's doing a fantastic job with Lyon. Had his 13-game winning run snapped by Gary O'Neill. But you know that's another thing. But I think we went down that route and we kind of went the polar opposite, right? We went for the guy who knows the club, who knows the league. He's pragmatic. He's a very good man manager. Very, very good at handling the media. There's no way we're going to sack him after this season. So we're talking about building for another season under Allegri at least. And I think he's 100% earned that, given the tire fire that he inherited. And you know some of the positive changes that have been made aren't necessarily on the field in terms of results either. He got Maignan to renew, like basically it was just him. So he's done a lot of reparation work in this first year. But now the pressure and the ball passes back to the ownership to be like, this is where I've got you. I've got you 6 places higher, back into the Champions League, got you all that money back. Back me now. Like, get me the players that I actually want. And then if they go out and spend, I'm not going to name an amount, but if they go out and address the starting 11 with the probably four positions that we all think we need to take this team to the next level, and the squad's fleshed out a little bit to be able to compete on multiple different fronts, then the pressure goes back to Allegri to be like, you got what you wanted. Now we need to kick on, not just in terms of results, because, you know, from second, all you can do is go up to first, right? If we do finish second, that is. But also in terms of the style. We need to beat teams better. We need to get better at home. You know, we need to stop having shit first halves. All the deficiencies that we've seen. I think we're kind of running a bit on gas, running a bit on vibes this season and just clinging in there. And we've lost our grip in this past week. And now the Scudetto has gone. And I just hope that we see the shackles off a little bit in the final 12 games of the season, and we start to see a bit more, a bit more of a carefree attitude. But I don't think that's going to happen. Allegri he is a pragmatic manager. That's what he does. He likes to build from a strong base, and I still think that he's established that. It's a massive summer, right? And it feels like we say it every single year, but this is a big, big summer because either you give him what I think he's earned, which is, you know, the right to pick the players that are most functional to his system, whatever that may be, or we might as well rip it up and start again, you know. So whatever. I'll do the very quick 2-minute Cremonese preview. What would your team be for this one? I think Maignan obviously in. Devinter has to be in. He's like the first name on the team sheet defensively. I don't think Gabbia is going to be risked because of the problem that he picked up before the Parma game. So you're probably looking at Tomori and Pavlovic again, unless Pavlovic still isn't 100% either, although he played. But I would still name those three. It's got to be, because then you can play Bartazagi at wing back. I'd probably go back to playing Atakame at right wing back, because I think his crossing is a weapon that we're going to absolutely need against this Cremonese side. Then I've said it before, I think Rabiot, the suspension thing, it's annoying if he's going to end up missing the derby, but like it isn't what it was going to be. So I'd probably play Rabiot, Modric, Jashari just to see if there's something there moving forward. Do you know what? Because it doesn't really... I don't understand getting ahead of ourselves and stuff, because we have still technically got to fight for the top 4 spot. You know, it's an 8-point cushion with 12 games to go. I am backing us to pick up enough wins between now and the end of the season to finish in the top 4, though. So, it's not as do or die every single game. So I would probably start Fulkrug up front in this one against a team that's going to play a deep block, and see what you've got with him, because he's only started 1 game so far. And then you can play whoever you want off him. It would probably be Fulkrug, Liao, or Fulkrug, Pulisic, whatever. But this might be the game just to give him that start, because otherwise it's been a waste of everyone's time. You know, we've paid his 3 million net salary for what? Thoughts?
Everything. I agree with almost everything. I would still go Leao and Pulisic, because I think, yes, we have a top 4 battle, but still the 2 best players. But most importantly, I think we have to see what we have in that duo. They haven't had time to gel, and I think we have to see. Yes, Allegri will be the manager next year, and I think he needs to see what can these guys ever be a duo. And if the answer is no, then I think we're going to sign a striker regardless. But if the answer is no, then I think we have to change the formation all over, because we can't. These 2 players have to be on the field, basically, right? Yeah. And if they're not going to be a duo, then you can't persist with this formation, I don't think. Yeah,
that's fair as well. And you've probably won me round there. Actually, we've got to have them on more than 3 league starts together this season. Otherwise, you've not really given it a fair crack, have you? Cremonese are 17th in the table. They're level on points with Lecce in 18th, the final relegation place. They've won 5 out of 26 games this season, 9 draws, 12 defeats. They've only scored 21 goals, and they've let in 36. Their recent results include a 3-0 defeat against Roma at the weekend, 0-0 home draw with Genoa, lost 2-1 away at Atalanta, lost 2-0 at home to Inter. They've lost 5-0 to Juve. They lost to Napoli. They're all right. They're competitive against the teams around them, but they've struggled against, and they've beaten us. So
they've scored 1 goal in their past 11.
Okay, shit. Don't make me feel any better at all.
Is that brace today? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a Sunday early kickoff too. It's 11:30 UK time, so it'll be 6:30 for you. Good luck waking up and watching that. I probably just wouldn't, to be honest.
I'm not.
Yeah, no. Yeah, sleep's more valuable. Prediction. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I feel like this is going to be another difficult one. And for all I've said about how I think we're fine in the top 4 race and stuff, I mean, I still do. But, after this, we've got the derby, and then we've got Lazio away. And, there is a possibility that we sort of go on like a 5-match winless run. But it's not going to happen, I don't think. And I think we're going to win on Sunday. And I'll give us a 2-0.
Yeah. It was actually, 3 goals in their last 11. And I'll go 2-1, because of course they're going to score.
They're going to score, yeah.
Of course.
We'll wrap it up there. It's been a long one. Appreciate you sticking with us. And, I know some people prefer the longer episodes, especially when we've got a lot of things to discuss, as we did. It's unfortunate the title dream looks like it's over for this year. But at least they can't win the title in the derby this year, so that's fine. And... thank you for watching, everyone. We're back later this week with another bonus episode. I'm out of it. I think it's going to be Isaac and Ben. So if you want to see the unprecedented duo, not unprecedented, I think they've done it before, but the C-team duo go at it, then tune in later in the week. We're back early next week with a recap of the Cremonese game. Bdair, cheers for joining.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you again soon. Have a fantastic weekend, everyone.